David is a lawyer here in Greenfield and has volunteered for a program whereby he brings American legal education to former Soviet satellite countries. Is that correct, David?
Yes, yes.
And which countries did you go to? It's all within the past year.
In the past year, as part of this program, I've been to Austria, to Salzburg, Austria for my training, and we had like 10 days of training, and then I was actually posted in the Czech Republic in a city named Olomouc, which is a city of about 100,000 people, about 150 miles east of Prague. And then more recently, this fall, in November, I was posted to Pristina, which is the capital of the recently created Republic Kosovo, in the former Yugoslav.
And what were you teaching?
I taught American law. The purpose of this, it's operated by a program called the Center for International Legal Studies. And that was the brainchild of a Professor Douglas Campbell from Suffolk University. And he got the idea that there were many of us experienced lawyers. Unfortunately, it's called senior lawyers. Apparently, I now fit that criteria. I'm never quite sure it's a club I wanted to belong to, but apparently I do.
Well, as you say, David, old is 15 years older than whatever age you happen to be.
That's right. That's right. And so I'm still 15 years behind being old.
That's right.
You know,
that's right. Like all of us.
Yes, but I apparently am a senior American lawyer, and he found that there were a lot of senior American lawyers like myself that wanted to sort of share our experience and our knowledge of the legal system with younger people. But traditional American legal education really doesn't use a lot of experienced lawyers in their pedagogy. And he found that in the former Soviet Union and satellite republics that there was a real thirst for bringing American lawyers.
Now, what you were teaching, well, what you once said to me that law school does not teach you how to be an attorney. It teaches you the theoretical basis of law and the facts of law.
Yeah.
And were you there teaching the principles of American jurisprudence, or were you talking about the practical matters of being a lawyer?
Both. I tried to talk about the sources of American law, how American law got, you know, the whole American U.S. and including Canada are under the same legal system of Anglo-American law.
Based on Blackstone?
Yeah, Blackstone, Magna Carta was the start of it.
Right.
And what you find in this, and it was very interesting because we don't really think about, we take this for granted, that our legal system, the paradigm of our legal system, has been in existence for virtually 800 years.
Right.
Since Magna Carta, which was signed in 1215.
Right.
So it's soon to have its 800th anniversary. And we've had one sort of legal paradigm that's included the right to trial by jury, the right to public accusations. I mean, you know, obviously it's had its ebb and flows in terms of the individual's rights, but it's been the same system.
Now, this is what is called liberal democracy, and that doesn't mean, we're not talking about a political fight between liberals and conservatives. When we're talking about liberal democracy, it means a rule of law.
Yes.
And not a rule of men. That's
right. And we have adopted that and had that more or less intact. I mean, and that more or less is the key words in there. For the last 800 years, several hundred years.
And in actuality, that concept of a government and a legal system based on the rule of law as compared to the rule of men is something that you see quite a bit of in the papers today, say in Egypt.
Yes.
That was not a rule of law. Mm-hmm. It was a rule by an autocratic bureaucracy and a strong man.
Yes.
And, of course, that was the nature of the Soviet Union and its satellite countries, too. Despite whatever protestations they may have made otherwise, it was an arbitrary legal system run by individuals and not by law.
Yes, and the communist system was based upon a concept that the law should be subordinate to the party.
Which means it was subordinate to the bureaucrats and their own self-interest.
Yeah, it tended to be that way, yes. And so that the one of the things that has separated and allowed our system to flourish in terms of economics is that we have a reliable, predictable, and transparent legal system that's also accessible.
Right.
So I tried to emphasize to these are emerging liberal democracies, at least that's the hope.
Right.
These are emerging liberal democracies, and you try to emphasize to the students, because I was teaching law students. I wasn't teaching practicing lawyers, and was that our system is one of the major backbones for how we're able to have a society that can allow for free enterprise.
Right.
And so that people can rely upon the rule of law in making contracts and making expectations that they won't be stolen from, or that
taken over.
Or taken over, yeah. And we see, in a lot of the problems we have in the former Soviet Union, where the implementation of a rule of law is stymied by local